Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to the weekly energy boost. I'm here this morning with David, and we are geared up to share with you the special, maybe special is a word that's overused, the unique energy of this week and how to best take advantage of it. The good news is it's ridiculously powerful, especially in contrast to what we've been experiencing for the last 6 or so weeks. If you've been feeling sort of that you're being dragged through the mud or that everything is moving in slow motion, this is the week that things should be picking up. We've now entered the month of Gemini, which is exciting energy, boost of energy. And so today we're going to be talking about discovering, revealing, and utilizing your superpower. This is a once a year opportunity we get to really reveal, to catch a glimpse of our true greatness. And we want to support our audience to discovering those clues if you don't know yet. And if you do know your superpower, tapping into that cosmic support to use it more and to really unleash it on the world around you.
I think a lot of times people want to know what their purpose is, how to add the most value to this world. People filter through a lot of different ways of being, ways of contributing, relationships, and they always kind of feel like, well, this doesn't feel 100% right. Something doesn't feel right. And what we want to share is how to access that unique gift that we all came to the world to express, and tap into it. Because sometimes people spend more than half their life before they get an inkling of what is real for them, what is authentic to them. And many times people are living someone else's life, or living a life of approval, or are living a life that is the dog is taking them for the walk. So we want to help.
It's a beautiful visual.
Yeah. We want to reveal some secrets from the Kabbalist that are combined with the energy of this week, because this week will help a person connect to the authentic version of themselves and remove those chains that are on us, the way that express the fact that we're living our lives for other people and not for ourselves.
Right. And if you're new to the weekly energy boost, this is a show where every week David and I, and sometimes along with a guest, we bring to the table powerful wisdom, secrets, and suggestions on how to utilize the spiritual weather of the coming 7 days. We do that through studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, living the wisdom of Kabbalah, and distilling that wisdom so that you, whether you study Kabbalah or not, can take that into your life and live a more, as David was saying, authentic, powerful, inspired, and great life.
And make sure to ask your questions in the comments and share the post to broaden our audience. And we'll be here with you, following along with you. So let's give some secrets about accessing our superpower. Do you want to start?
Well, what I want to share, and obviously using a modern metaphor is not necessarily ancient Kabbalistic secret, but if you think about it, in I don't want to just say superhero movies because there's plenty out there, but in most movies that I actually thought about Jerry Maguire as we were driving here this morning, but in most movies, the hero goes through a serious struggle in order to reach the conclusion that this is what I need to do, this is what I need to change. I say Jerry Maguire, but I think it's most clearly illustrated in the movie Groundhog Day, right? That Bill Murray plays a very average human being who lives a life of chaos until he realizes that he has to stop thinking about himself. Right. Jerry Maguire went through what he went through. Every superhero, every protagonist, let's call it, goes through their struggle. And in a movie, it looks really easy and simple because they have 2 hours to deliver the movie, right, the story. So you only get a montage of their struggle with really beautiful music from, I don't know, John Williams or something in the background. So you're
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer, exactly. You get that emotional, wow, look at the struggle, and then it's over, so you feel good. But the reality is the struggle is what delivers the greatness to the person. It doesn't come through, a letter from an anonymous angel that tells you, listen, your gift is public speaking, or your gift is empathy, or your gift is your sense of humor. It really comes through often. All these other movies are popping up in my head, but usually the hero runs away from their gift, right? Tries to create a decoy in a way, running away, avoiding the calling, so to speak. And so I think the reason I think it's important to share that is because there's people out there who are listening that are thinking, well, I don't have a gift, or I'm fine just doing what I'm doing now. I don't need to be an influencer in any way, shape, or form. It's not, according to Kabbalah, it's not about being famous or popular or jumping on any bandwagon. It really is, each one of us comes to the world with a unique gift, and we're here to share it. So even if you're fine where you're at, there's something more for you, and it's not about the world needs you. It's that inside the utilization of that gift is greater fulfillment for you and your purpose. Our purpose, according to Kabbalah, isn't outside of us, it's within. And the stuff we do outside of us is simply helps us to unearth and use the gift within.
A person can't have sustainable fulfillment and happiness if they don't find this gift. They can try to live off of the fumes of instant gratification here and there, and projects, and manage events in their lives
and
to keep
vacations planned throughout the year.
Sure. And these are the two types of lives that we observe, and we all vacillate between these two modalities of life. Is my life one that is consistently fulfilled because I've accessed that gift and I am expressing it, or am I the kind of person that is not feeling good until something is happening, not feeling good until the result is achieved, not feeling good until somebody says something positive, not feeling good unless I get a reward. And I'm reading this book. It's called Deep Work. And one of the powerful, I try to get powerful concepts from these books. And something he said, you have to learn to master the art of being bored. And I found that to be very powerful, because a person who has found their gift, they can access this energy wherever they are. So being bored is not a scary thing. Being bored is actually a way to get closer to your gift. So I thought that was a powerful concept. So
it's funny that you say that, by the way, because in these stay-at-home times, it's a big conversation for parents now. Is their kids are home and not as active as they typically are when they're allowed outside the house. So parents are struggling to keep their kids entertained. And then there's the voice of reason that comes in and says, what's wrong with being bored, right? Creativity stems from not being stimulated from the external and needing to create from
the greatest inventions came from boredom.
Exactly. So it's interesting that he brings that up as well, is that it's almost like the universe is saying, stop moving so much so that you can really tap into what's within.
And that's what the concept of deep, I love it, because there's a Kabbalistic, everything that we share, we really just, I don't want to use the word dumb it down. We don't dumb it down. We practicalize it.
That's why I like the word distill. Distilling it, simplifying it so that it's not esoteric.
Sometimes people judge us, judge the Kabbalah Center, saying, oh, that's not the deep Kabbalah. The truth is, what we're doing, if we taught the deep Kabbalah, you all would tune out immediately. So what we're doing is we're digesting the deep Kabbalah, we're learning it, we're studying it, we're trying to package it for you in a tasteful, funny way for 45 minutes that you can have for the whole week. But please know that everything that we're sharing with you isn't just two Pisces between two ferns.
Between two Pisces.
It's rooted in deep Kabbalistic concepts. I was listening to some of the deepest texts that we have, the 10 Luminous Emanations, on my way over here, because I like to hear those concepts and then try to bring it into that friendly way for our audience. So I have some concepts to share here about accessing the superpower. Number one, it's a concept that we talked about a little bit in the car on the way over here, on the phone. So the idea that the Kabbalists say that there are always two qualities, two sides to a person that we need to be aware of and to find a way to embrace and balance. And they are, there's a part of us that needs to achieving unity, achieving equality with the people around us, because it's very obnoxious if you're trying to you're trying to be your own person. That's great. It's great for you, but that can also be destructive for the people around you. It can be painful or hurtful to family or to friends if you're not being responsive, if you're not coming down to the level of other people and embracing the culture or embracing the environment that you're in. So there is a concept about the power of unity. And unity, we've talked about in many shows, creates miracles. When there's unity or peace between people, between employees, between a boss and an employee, between obviously lovers or in a marriage, then there's miracles. But if there's too much unity, where everyone's the same and everyone's kowtowing to each other and everyone's compromising constantly, where's the uniqueness? Where do I share my gift?
Right.
Where do I
Unity
activate my
doesn't mean
superpower?
agreeing with everybody.
But that is the side effect of too much unity, which is, you know what? I don't want to create disunity. So why should I share my ideas? I don't want to create disunity. I don't want to rock the boat. So let's not be too expressive. I have some ideas I really want to share, but I'm afraid to kind of hurt people's feelings. I don't want to undermine the person.
I don't want to ruin the groove.
Exactly. So that is the negative side of unity. So then we go to the other extreme, which is my superpower, my gift, my ideas. I have ideas.
And I'm willing to trample on anybody who gets in my way.
Right. So that's the opposite extreme. That's the other side. That's a negative side.
And that's not
of
what
the
we're
superpower.
advocating. I'm making a joke of it because it's not, we don't, becoming the superhero that you are doesn't mean living a lone life because no one understands you and nobody can help you and you're above it all. It's really finding that unique ingredient that you have that when combined with the other ingredients creates the perfect dessert.
And that's the foundation we're setting. We want our audience to know that these two sides exist. Going to the extreme of either one of them is going to hurt you and you're not going to live a fulfilled life. So what's the solution? It's to realize that you're always juggling between being unified, being in harmony, being like everybody else, and nothing wrong with that, in order to achieve peace, while interjecting your leadership, interjecting your uniqueness, injecting your crazy ideas, injecting your unique power that you think everybody's going to judge, or you think that people aren't going to embrace, or you think is totally risky. Finding the balance between these two is how you live a fulfilled life. And I've always just seen people go to one extreme or another, and even though it might work, they're sacrificing something else and they're creating a different kind of darkness or a different kind of pain. So finding the balance between these two is what's important. That's the first concept I wanted to share.
And there's a way, not only, I'm sure, there's people right now, it's, I don't know, what's the date? End of May 2020. You may be listening to this in 2021. Just remember where we were at when we recorded the show. But you may be even in 2022 in a position where you don't have a team of people that you work with. So how do you express that unity? You may be single, looking to create a family. How do you express that unity and your superpower at the same time? I think what the Kabbalists teach about living a balanced life has the answer. It's always about going from sharing to internal work that we talk about on the show every single week, and then going back and sharing again. Like being in that balanced place of contributing, finding a way to, even if you don't live with anyone or you're an independent contractor or whatever it is, you can find a way to be there for someone else, reach out, contribute somehow, and then go back inward and do that work that only you can do on yourself, the growth, the learning, the transformation, and then go outside again and share from your energy and your light. So it's not, sometimes I think the way that this show could probably be a business coaching show in some respects, but it really is universal. You may also have it, you may have kids at home and or you may have parents that you're taking care of. It's the same thing. It's about going between the two modes of I'm here to work on myself, I'm here to transform myself, and I'm also here to do good in the world.
I love what you said. I have a practical way of looking at it. I get lost and immersed when I do something, which I think is a positive quality. It's the concept of deep work, because I think when we're superficial and we're just skimming the surface of whatever we're doing, we're not activating the full power of ourselves. So I get lost in what I do. So I literally have reminders in my phone, like every couple hours, that switch between the two modes of deep into my process, my work, my whatever it is I'm doing, studying or planning for something or preparing something, and then switching out of that completely and let's say focusing on the family, the kids, my students, my friends. So I'll have a reminder in the phone that says, okay, shift. So now the shift is completely forget about what I'm doing and move to the modality of outside of me, which is the unity concept. So that's the unity concept. So there's got to be a time where I'm focusing on expressing my gift to the world or whatever, my projects, my stuff, my self-improvement, and then shift to how are we going to add value to other people, totally separate from what I'm doing for my own stuff. And I think that for me, that creates a healthy balance. And there's something else that you said that triggered a thought in me, which is unity also means not to judge people. So the ability to accept people's negativity as just their process, basically the fruit's not ripe yet, doesn't mean it's a bad fruit. You pick a fruit when it's not ripe, it's going to be bitter. Don't judge it for it. I think that's also a powerful way to have unity while you express your own unique gifts and abilities. So what that means practically is I'm expressing myself, I have an idea, I'm sharing whatever. Simultaneously, I'm not judging anybody else. I'm not thinking my idea is better. I'm not thinking I'm better. I'm just sharing. I'm sharing a thought, but I'm not rising above everyone in the sharing of that thought.
And I'm also not attached to what gets done with that thought.
Exactly. Because if you're attached to it, then you're also, again, not having the unity. Because as soon as you want someone's approval, which is the next point I was going to share, that also deactivates your superpower as soon as you need someone's approval.
Well, this week, what David and I often do is we look to the Zohar for the inspiration and the lessons that we share, the wisdom that we share. And it's actually in this week's Zohar section that it talks about the guy who's drilling the hole in his boat, under his seat. And his friend says to him, "What are you doing? You're going to sink us all." And he says, "Leave me alone. I'm only drilling under my chair."
Right, under my side of the boat.
Right. So that, it's a beautiful metaphor for, how we don't recognize our superpower. And I think it's important to say that we're only as powerful as we believe ourselves to be. And that to me was a very scary lesson originally when I heard it the first time. I thought to myself, I want what I want when it comes to good stuff, but when I'm in those moments of self-sabotage or negativity, it doesn't really matter. I'm not that powerful. And you can't have it both ways. Either you're powerful or you're not. And so the Kabbalists talk about how, recognizing that you have something unique in this world to do. There is, I don't know, it's like a Hallmark card already. Your birthday was the day that God decided the world couldn't live without you anymore, but Kabbalistically speaking, Kabbalistically speaking, it's true, right? We're all part of this cosmic puzzle, and the world needs us to do that one tiny puzzle piece. So you can't diminish, or I guess you can, in those moments of negativity when you think it's not such a big deal, you're actually diminishing your impact when you want to do something positive.
A thought just came to my mind. Maybe someone's thinking this thought in our audience. That's why it came. There's a small group of people that are always thinking, what's the point? What's the point of anything? What's the point of all this? You kind of get to that very skeptical place.
People ask every 30 seconds, please pray for this person, please send a blessing to the, and you think, well, my prayers don't matter. I don't. What good could I do?
So there's that. There's that. What I'm saying is there's people who just literally are so disillusioned. All of a sudden you get disillusioned. Maybe you're pushing, something doesn't go your way, and then you're like, what's the point of all this? I mean, haven't you ever thought that from the spiritual work? Like, we try so hard, we're trying to make a difference, we're trying to share, and then all of a sudden, like, nothing works, and you think, oh, why am I doing all this? Like, honestly, like, what's the point? What about? So
I have
there's
never had that.
Never
thought,
had
David
that.
Gam.
That's unbelievable.
Never.
You are
Terrible.
amazing.
Don't out me here on the show.
Well, I'm just sharing it because I know there are some people who be like, oh, you know, I appreciate that you're
course.
talking about this.
Of course.
And I think there's people that all of a sudden just feel like totally not motivated to do anything because it just hits them like, what's the point? What's the point of any of this? The world's like this, my family's like this, my business like this, whatever. So people just think, what's the point? I just want to throw out a quick solution. If you have one, I think I've felt that way. It just hits you. It's not something logical. And I think one way is to just ignore it, to simply ignore it and say that these are the times where the opponent tries to poison the well and poison the mind with taking a person off track. Because once you think, what's the point? You could go down a really dangerous path of being self-destructive and not caring anymore and not injecting energy into our world. So for me, as soon as I start thinking those thoughts, I remember the words of Kabbalist Rav Asher. Like he says, as soon as those thoughts of what's the point come, you need to know you're actually on the brink of something powerful.
So can you digress for a second and give the 30-second, what is the opponent?
We've talked about it before. We talked about it in our Kabbalah 1 class, that every soul that comes to this world, in order to activate its greatness, is given an opposite force called the opponent. The opponent's job is to make sure that we're always choosing, we're making choices that are good for the short term, bad for the long term of our lives. So that opponent is the one that convinces us to be in a bad relationship, to be attracted to someone who's unavailable. Like, has anybody ever thought, like, why am I attracted to this person who's not even interested in me, is not available? And even if they were, it would be destructive. Meanwhile, I can't stop thinking about them, and I want to I want to invest in getting this person to like me. Those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions are coming from our opponent in order to give us the free will to choose between light and darkness. Because if intrinsically we all felt so attracted to the light of the Creator, and we felt attracted to goodness, and we immediately saw what was good and bad, and we made the right choice, so there's no more earning. It's already chosen for us. So that's why we have an opponent. Kabbalah talks about it. It's a mind-blowing concept when people learn in Kabbalah 1, because they realize these negative thoughts have a name. These negative forces, these negative entities, there's a purpose for them. It's not because you're a bad person. Quite the opposite. You're an incredible person. That's why your opponent is very strong.
Well, that's the point that I wanted you to set up, is that the greater the superpower, the greater the opponent.
100%.
So, you, as you're listening to us, let's say the first 20 minutes of what we were sharing, you might say, well, you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what I'm up against. You don't know. And, I hear those thoughts over the broadcast. If you think it's too hard, or it's too impossible, or, you listen to us and you're kind of like, well, maybe next week's show will be more relevant. The fact that your opponent is so relentless is only an indication of how magnificent your superpower is.
But your potential is. And there's a reason why your opponent is trying to keep you at bay and keep you diminished, because should your superpower be unleashed, it weakens the opponent in this world.
Right.
So that's a great sign. And people who are very overwhelmed, very stressed out, constantly have negative thoughts and emotions, it's a sign that you're hiding a diamond, and that's why there's so much negativity around you.
I think part of the spiritual work is making sure that those moments of doubt and fear and frustration or upset don't diminish your connection to your gift, your connection to your superpower. A few weeks ago, we spoke about, I think it was the show about joy. If you didn't hear it, you can go back and listen to it. We talked about how joy and happiness are different, right? Things make us happy, but joy is an energy, is a frequency that we can be tapped into, even if we're disappointed in the moment, even if we're frustrated, even if we're worried. So that again goes back to this idea of, if I am connected to revealing my diamond, even if there is a worry, a doubt, a fear, a challenge in front of me, I know that it's part of me unearthing that gem within. And everyone has one. I think that's one of the beautiful things about the metaphor of the diamond within, is that spark, that light within us. And maybe we haven't talked about what does it mean to reveal light in a good 6 months or so. But
we took it for granted that our audience.
Yeah, no. I think it's worth bringing up today as well. But that unique, no diamond is the same, right? There's so many different facets to gemology, I think it's called. It is. It's not a joke.
Is this a word? I'm going to Google it.
Google it. That no two stones could ever be the same. Even if you cut them the same, you use the same software to cut it, the internal qualities could never be the same. And so, children raised by the same parents, twins, born identical twins, born in the same minute, are not the same diamond. And so recognizing there's nobody like you that's come before, there's nobody like you that will come afterwards. I don't know. To me, I also have that voice inside that says, it can wait till tomorrow, or I have a thought I want to share with somebody and I think it's not that big of a deal. But then when I remember that there's only one me and I'm seeing what I'm seeing for a reason, or I had that flash of inspiration for a reason, I don't know. I'm not attached to how it's going to be used. I don't know what the other person might do with it. But if I go through that series of, should I say it? Is it the right time? Etc. That I check myself and then I bring it up. That's part of me uncovering another, millimeter of my diamond.
Great. I have a list here of some of the main reasons why people don't find their superpower or what's holding them back. So if you're listening, just take a moment not to switch your frequency of how you hear these things, because I think
get a paper and pen.
Yeah, I think sometimes people start hearing us passively because it's just nice. Elisheva has a nice voice, and I'm just listening to it's like music. I think.
Don't make me sing.
So let's switch frequency and try to internalize what's being said, so it's just not background noise. Main reason why people don't find their superpower. Number one, I wrote. This really poisons it. This really diminishes it. When I have a need for approval, I'm so detached from myself, and I begin to live someone else's life. So I'm not actually living from someplace deep inside myself. I'm living artificially, superficially, based on the energies of other people. That's what the need for approval does to a person. You start to live off the energy of other people. Therefore, you're not in control. You're not tapping into yourself, and you don't know who you are. In fact, when do you finally learn who you are? When no one's giving you approval and you actually experience such rejection and results don't go your way. That's actually when people find who they are, because they stop living off the fumes of other people. So take inventory, audit right now where in your life there's still this addiction and this need for approval that's fueling you. I think that's really important. I'm trying to think of different ways that this appears for people. It definitely appears in relationships. I was talking to somebody recently how, some people just start my calls sometimes, say, first time I'm meeting them, they say, I really want to find my soulmate. It's like one of the first things people say, like the first 3 minutes. Well, okay, well, why are you not in a relationship? Let's talk about your past relationships. Let's talk about when was your last long-term committed one. And then let's get to your father. Like, what's your relationship with your father? It sounds very cliche, but what's holding people back from having a man or woman in their lives that they feel really connected to and you can grow with is that your energy is still so lost in your tentacles are in everybody else. So many other people.
Energetic hook.
Yeah, you have your hooks and so many other people that you want them to like you. It's like every man you meet feels like they're dating 18 other people. That's the problem, because your energy is not yours. You don't own yourself. So it's very unattractive. I told this one person, I said, you have to know that every time you're on a date with this guy, and you need his approval, there's this odor that comes from, there's a smell. And that's what's interesting. I think people don't know. I said, if you knew that a stink would emanate from your pores, the minute you need someone's approval, like, what would you do about that? I think we think needing someone's approval is just like something that only I know about, or if anything, it motivates me to be a sharing person. No.
No, I think
You have
people
an
also
odor.
confuse that with love, right? Like when I get their approval, it's a sign that they love me.
Right. And that's the opponent. That's the opponent tricking us. It's quite the opposite. It's very unattractive to the world because you have an odor. You have a stigma that follows you.
Stinkma.
A stinkma. Very good. Very good.
You heard it here first.
They're very good. It's a stinkma. When you are needy. When you're needy, just that's it. So we got to be aware of that. We got to be aware of that because that's how people don't find themselves. And that's why people start finding themselves in their 30s, maybe 40s, because first half of their life, they're just thinking, how do I live what other people want me to do? And what do I need? So that was the first concept I wanted to share.
Well, I on my list of don'ts, or I guess maybe the opposite is a do, is that one of the reasons that people don't tap into their superpower is because they think it comes from them. They think of it as, I need to learn this. Nobody taught me this. Nobody, right? That it becomes it becomes a conversation about physical, material ability or knowledge or accumulation. And according to Kabbalah, and I think according to other spiritual paths as well, our gifts come from the light, the creator, the light force of the creator, as we call it. So when, you're asking for your mentor to teach you something, or you go to a therapist hoping to learn to love better or be more open, I think people don't achieve the greatness in the area that they're trying to work on because they think that knowledge is going to come from another person, or it's going to come from a book, or it's going to come from an experience, right? They go to a yoga retreat in India, and they come back and they're still not able to be a good partner because they expected the yoga retreat to change them. Our greatness, that diamond is hewn from the original.
Gemology is a word. It is a word.
It is hewn from the original mountain, from the big mountain in the sky. I don't know how to.
I love it.
Thank you. SAT word.
Hewn, to chop or to cut, especially wood or coal, with an axe, pick, or other tool. It's part of the gemology vocabulary.
Thank you so much.
Continue.
Fact checking by David Gamm. That's why he has his laptop in the show. If you are feeling stuck or blocked or having some challenge in uncovering your diamond, ask the light, source, universe, God, whatever word you're comfortable with, to show it to you. Recognize that gift is an extension, or the unique way that the light expresses itself through you. So it's not about an acquisition or passing a test. If you're going to be a gifted lawyer, it's not because your brain has such a huge capacity to remember all of the laws and sub-laws and, I know there's other words. I'm not an expert in law, just gemology.
Stick to the gemology.
Yeah, thanks.
Vocabulary.
It's not because you studied under the best law professors. It's because the light force of the creator is empowering you, is fueling your gift.
What's the one-line version of what you just said? What's the summary of what you just said?
This is also an SAT
No, I know.
question.
I know. It was a powerful. It was a long.
Our
powerful,
gifts come from the light.
Okay. And what's the call to action there?
Ask for help.
Okay.
That to me, I think, is one of the most, we take it so for granted. We say, oh yeah, I'm humble. Oh yeah, I have a relationship with the light force of the creator. How often are you asking for help? You know what? You may have a fabulous marriage. How often do you ask the light for help in making it even more fabulous?
And we've had many shows about how to do that. I think we know because we are trained in the art of asking for help spiritually. It's part of our education. but I think a lot of people are like, well, what does it mean? How do I do it? It's probably for another show, but I did want to just
Do you know what
acknowledge
next week's show is about?
What's next week's show?
Dialing God.
Oh, well, there you go.
We're
We
going to
could-
talk all about how to ask for help.
Okay, because that's one of the most powerful tools. Is to ask for help. You actually draw light, draw energy from this universe that you haven't earned yet, but you can borrow.
But
to
I
empower
also
you.
want to point out, by the way, how each week's energy leads to the next week's energy.
Nice.
Like David, without knowing that that's what we were supposed to talk about, he knows that that's the energy. This conversation, this wisdom lends itself to, this is what you're working on next week. You're going to take it to the next level in the following week.
All right, so we talked about what blocks us from activating and accessing our superpower, our need for approval. Elisheva gave us a tool. Elisheva has been saying one concept over and over again in many different ways. She's basically saying you have to know. You have to know that you have it. If you're not sure, if you have doubts, if you have a power, if you have this gift, if there is value in it, you need to know that it does exist. If you want to see it, if you want to understand it, ask the light of the Creator, ask your soul, verbally do it, under your breath do it, whatever language you want. We'll talk about it next week. But asking also brings the awareness, because if it's in the forefront of your mind, then the universe will show it to you. The third concept I wanted to share is the sister of the need for approval. It's the sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law of the need for approval is if we're still holding on to some kind of blame that someone did something or didn't do something that has now put me at a disadvantage in my life. So that's a giant gaping hole where energy just spills out. And it's
funny because that's the opposite of what we just talked about. Like, if I need the right law professor to teach me so I can become a great lawyer, the opposite of it is I'm damaged because somebody broke my heart.
Or I couldn't find the right law professor, and that's unfair, and that's
therefore,
why,
exactly. So it's
Exactly.
interesting that you're.
And we all have it. We all have if I wasn't born this way, if I didn't look like that, if I didn't have this disadvantage, whatever it is, and it's false. It's totally false. It's from the opponent. And our job is to feel unlimited, which was last week's show. Our job is to feel unlimited and to feel like exactly the way I've been made is exactly what I need. In fact, any variation of this would be a disadvantage to access my greatness. And when you accept that, the greatness will be revealed to you. If you're still upset that someone did something or stole 1 year of your life, or I wish I could go back and take that time they took from me, or whatever they did, they hurt me. This limited form of thinking is holding back the activation of our superpower.
And I think that it's often awakened by looking at other people who we think have it better than us, or
That's the cousin. That's the cousin
by marriage
of need for approval.
No, but looking at those other people and saying, "Oh, look at they have the best relationship," or "Look at how successful they are," or
comparing.
"Look at how skinny she is," or "Look at how we." By looking at other people, let's put it this way: trust us. From the thousands upon thousands of people we worked with over the years, everybody's got something. Just because you can't see it on Facebook, or you can't see it in by popping your head into their cubicle, or by texting them or getting their texts, everybody's got something, and you wouldn't want to exchange somethings with anyone. Your something is perfect for you, and their something is perfect for them. I'm thinking, I don't know if I ever shared this on the show, but I gave a lecture in Miami years and years and years ago. A 2-hour seminar, introducing people to the wisdom of Kabbalah. And a woman came up to me and said, you're a beautiful speaker. I loved everything you said, but I don't think Kabbalah is for me. And I said, why not? And she said, well, my life is perfect. And I wish I had a video camera. My life is perfect. I said, tell me about the perfection. What do you got going on? I'm wealthy. My family is amazing. Everybody loves me. And she had all this, she was oozing with gratitude and appreciation, which I admire. I think that there's a lot of people that could take that for granted, but she felt that there was nothing in her life to improve. And if she did take the classes because it was a form
of write a check
into entertainment.
In that case, write a check to
exactly. That idea, and what's interesting is I got to know one of her children, and there was an absolute something there. There was definitely chaos. That
Usually
was,
in those cases, you ask the kids are miserable.
right. So it was just interesting for me, and maybe part of her I guess it's not a need for approval, but it was a need to keep up appearances or
That things were good.
that everything was good, denial, repression. I don't know what was going on there. I didn't get to know her any better than that one evening. But the pretending that everything is okay when it's not doesn't make it okay.
It reminds me of couples counseling. Sometimes I meet the husband and the wife separately, and I might meet the husband first, and the husband will say, things are really good. It's like the healthiest our marriage has been. I think Susan is really happy, and the kids are. It's just phenomenal. And then I talk to Susan like a week later. Susan's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna leave them like next week." This happens so many times, and I'm like, "How is your husband not like totally clueless about your feelings?" And sometimes people are in their own world where they think everything's great and everyone loves them and whatever. Not everyone's judging them, and they're having a big issue, but no one's bringing it up to them. So. Something to be aware of also. I don't know how that fits into the super. How we got to that?
Well, I'll tell you something. That brings up. I'll explain exactly how that fits into the super. We have like 5 minutes tops, and I want to bring up the unique opportunity we have this Thursday night. Thinking about somebody who has trouble expressing their feelings. David and I shared earlier in the show about the opponent, how the opponent sits there and kind of says, come at me, you think you can't do it. You're right. You can't do it. I bet that Susan, if she would manage to be expressive, to speak up, to share her feelings, inside that struggle and the overcoming of it is her gift. Yeah. And I've shared on previous shows that one of the things I had trouble doing when I was younger was speaking, was talking in front of people. I could read a script, but I couldn't come up with original material. I had no problem standing on stage singing a song, but I couldn't talk from my heart. That, if I didn't have the support and the knowledge and the wisdom to overcome that, we wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be here today. Maybe somebody else would be sitting in this chair. So for me, I think that's a great example. Poor Susan, who thinks it's not worth bringing up. He's never going to change. It's not about him changing.
Or maybe she just thinks she's always told him, but he's not listening.
Exactly. Whatever the excuse Susan gives herself for not speaking up. Susan, if you're listening.
Susan, for the love of God.
All you Susans out there, speak up. Because in that speaking, it's not about who's listening.
Don't speak up too much.
David. In the speaking up is your greatness. There may be a book inside you that needs to be written. There may be a song. There may be someone in your life who thinks you don't love them because you're not saying you love them. And now we could go into the 5 love languages story and all that stuff. This week, and I wanted to bring it up actually because there's a cosmic opening that takes place this Thursday night and Friday that the Kabbalists teach. If we tap into it, whatever we can do to connect, we can get a glimpse of who we are truly meant to be. So one of the things that the Kabbalists do is we stay up all night. But
Thursday night.
Thursday night. There's different days of the year that we do that for different reasons. This particular night, we're really tapping into our potential beyond any limitations, beyond any excuses, beyond any baggage, scarring, trauma. The Kabbalists teach that staying up this Thursday night, connecting, however you connect, maybe it's through music, maybe it's through study, maybe it's through, I don't know about binge watching Netflix because it's probably not a hugely light. We love Netflix, by the way, but probably not going to reveal as much light as doing something that plugs you into the bigger diamond that exists in the world. But, I would people are probably thinking, yes, you stay up all night, so you start hallucinating about how great you are. That may be part of it as well. But the idea is that it's such a powerful day, and Kabbalistically speaking, the most powerful part of the day is midnight to dawn. Mm-hmm. So we stay up and we capture that burst of energy that takes place in the universe at that time. If you're looking for a spiritual assignment, go for it. It's, again, this Thursday night and Friday. Well, you can go to sleep on Friday during the day if you'd like. But the idea is that the Kabbalists have been doing this for millennia. We can do it too. There you go. If you think that we're we dumb it down. That's not dumbing it down. That's hardcore. And what else? I mean,
I think that's good.
that's it.
I think keep commenting this week. We'll be responding to you. Thank you for sharing because it's been broadening our audience. And just
Take it
close
away.
it. Close it.
Close it, shut it down. So you may be listening on Facebook, you may be listening on IGTV, YouTube. We are on all the platforms that you can get your podcasts. And if you do have questions or you're interested in learning more about anything that we have talked about today, you can also email us at energyboost@kabbalah.com. Have a fabulous, super powerful week, and we'll see you next Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific on the Weekly Energy Boost.